If you just bought a new UTV, then you need to break it in. Otherwise, you're going to end up with more problems than the midlife crisis that wound up with you buying a UTV in the first place. Anyways, guys, let's just get it straight from the start. I'm not a licensed mechanic, so do your due diligence and read your owner's manuals. But the process for all UTVs is going to be pretty much the same. So, use this with an air caution. So I have a 2022 RZR Pro XP. That's a turboed model. If you have a turboed model, it's a Can-Am X3 Turbo, a Turbo S, whatever it happens to be. Just remember, when you're starting it up, before you actually start driving, you want to give it about 10 seconds to get running, and that's going to help circulate the oil through the turbo and get everything spooled up, and that's just going to help it last longer into the future. So if you've been riding for an extended period of time and you're done for the day, or you're going to take a long break, then you want to put it in park and let the engine idle for a good 30 seconds. Just keep the fans running and the oil flowing, and that's going to help kind of slowly contract the metal in the turbo, and that's going to help it last a lot longer too. You got bearings in there, there's a lot of moving parts, so it's important to take care of your turbo. First step in the braking process is obviously going to be taking care of your belt. Most of these machines have belts, unless you're dealing with like a Talon or something like that that has a 6-speed. For breaking your belt in, there's two different ways that Polaris recommends. The most common way I've seen for all UTVs is in my opinion, the quickest way, and it's also one of the ways that Polaris recommends. So for the first 5 miles, you're just going to keep it in low gear, and you're going to vary your speed and your throttle between 5 and 18 miles an hour. So you're just working on lightly heating that belt up. Once you finish those 5 miles, then you're gonna stop, turn it off, and wait 20 to 30 minutes and let the belt cool back down and contract. And once that's done, it's pretty much broken in. Big thing, if you just got the UTV, highly recommend that you get 2 belts and you break them both in at the same time, or one after the other. But yeah, you want to break both of them in, so that way when you're out on the trails, you'll always have a spare belt with you, and it's already going to be broken in, so you don't have to worry about breaking it in on the trails, if you need it. During that 5-mile period, that's a really good time to start breaking your brakes in as well. So Polaris recommends 50 moderate stops. Just come to a complete stop and then start again. You don't want to be accelerating hard. Obviously, you're going to start smelling the brakes if they're brand new, and you might smell a little bit of the belt. So just be smart, use common sense as whether it's a smell that's just part of the braking process or whether there's actually something wrong, because you definitely want to get anything that you think might be wrong taken care of while it's still under the manufacturer's warranty. After you've done all that, the belt's pretty much broken in and you're good to start driving it in high gear. So for the first 2 tanks of gas or 3 hours, and I should note with fuel in these things, these are high precision machined engines, so you should always be running 91 octane. A lot of cars recommend it and you run 87 anyways, let's be honest. But with these things, you should definitely take care of them, especially if you're planning on keeping it for a number of years. For the first 2 full tanks of gas or 3 hours of engine time, you don't want to go over 50% throttle, and you want to keep your RPMs under about 5,000. So that's going to be about 40 miles an hour. So you want to just be smart, make sure you're not going all the way to the floor or anything like that. And that's going to be for the first 3 hours. After those 3 hours, no full throttle, so no putting it to the floor for the first 25 engine hours. Don't be drag racing or anything, because you're still breaking your clutches in. So even though your belt is broken in, you can still start damaging your clutches, and that's not something that's probably going to break while it's under manufacturer's warranty. You don't want something breaking 8 months into you owning it, 2 months after the manufacturer's warranty is over, and then you're sitting there, you got to replace a clutch for, I don't know what it would cost, $700. if you go through the dealer, of course. Even if you guys have the extended warranty, they're going to be super picky on that. The salesman even told us that at the dealership. They're not going to cover abuse and stuff. So if you're drag racing and you break something, they're going to be able to tell just by looking at the clutches. The way that the clutches are going to wear, it's pretty obvious that you were hard accelerating from a dead stop. So just keep that in mind. You know, if you think that just because you have the extended warranty you're going to be covered, that's not necessarily true. Another thing that I think is a really good idea is during that break-in process, you know, even in the first 3 hours once you start driving it in high gear, is switching it in and out of four-wheel drive. Just keep in mind that, you know, if you have a different model or something, you know, you might have to slow down below a certain speed. With the Polaris all-wheel drive system, you don't really have to do that. You can kind of just do it on the fly because it's all-wheel drive. It's not a hard four-wheel drive differential in the front, but it's going to be a really good idea, definitely before the end of that braking process, to make sure you're driving it in four-wheel drive and braking in that front differential, because you're going to be changing that fluid. Once your 25 hours is up, you're going to need to get your braking process inspection done. Your owner's manual should lay out what is all done during that process. A lot of people probably take it to the dealer. I'm personally going to do it myself because, you know, I think it's important to know your machine in and out, and, you know, I want to learn more about it, and also because, you know, I trust myself. So that's going to consist of changing your oil, your differential fluids, and, you know, your transmission, all around fluid change basically. You're going to be checking for any leaks. You want to take a look at your tires and make sure that they're wearing evenly. You're going to take a look at your brake pads, run your finger along your brake rotors, make sure they're not grooved or anything like that, and then you can take a look. You don't have to take off your caliper or anything, but you can take a look and see if there's any chunks out of your brake pads or anything like that, and that'll be something that you need to address. It's going to be a really good idea to examine all the ball joints and the pivot points on the vehicle. Just make sure that, you know, nothing is round, you know, ovaling out, like it's shaking or anything. Make sure all your bushings are good. It's just a general inspection. You're not taking anything apart or anything like that. You could grease up all your pivot points at that point, but yeah, you really just want to make sure that everything looks good, you know, in terms of all the joints and stuff on your engine. Once you have all that done, then you're pretty much good to start riding her as hard as you want. I still wouldn't recommend doing any drag racing because, like I said, anytime you're slamming on the gas from a dead stop, there's teeth in the clutch, and so they're going to be kind of in a neutral position, and so when you floor it, it slams in there, and if you keep doing that, it's going to start to kind of wear into the metal. I appreciate you guys watching. If you want to see more of this stuff, you know, we're getting some parts in. We're going to be putting them on the UTV, and then some trail ride videos are going to be coming soon. So if you guys are interested in that kind of stuff, you know, subscribe please. It really help me out. You know, I'm just starting out. And then if you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments, and I'll get back to you pretty quickly. This has been AZ Kid on UTV. I'll see you guys in the next one. And break in that front differential. That bird just scared me. It flew right at me.